Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty in the Frizz. My name is Kara, and whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for another one today. Today we are going to be dealing with Gemini and Gemini 2. This is really a review of Gemini 2. We're gonna have a little bit of Gemini 1 in the mix though. So if you wanna see 3 looks and just talk about the palette and what I think about it, you might be a bit surprised. Keep watching this video and let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to connect with another enthusiast that feels the same way, definitely consider joining the community. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. So, you know, I love Melt. I do. I feel loyalty to the brand. However, Melt can be hit or miss, and the saving grace is their color stories and palettes of the past that I love. Amore Mariposas. That collection, I am going to be pulling that out soon because we just didn't vibe, and I want to vibe with it, but I think it's the round pans. I think that's what it is. We're going to find that out for certain really soon. Got my hands on Gemini at the last VIB sale, just on a whim. Yes? I'll find out, okay? August is inviting people to other people's parties. Okay, I can't. Got this on a whim, and I really wanted to have this because you know I can't have Muerte. They're not bringing it back. All hope may not be lost for Muerte since, you know, they bought this back. Anyway, got this, totally happy with it, and I felt like this palette was gonna be a must-have for me because I, over time, had heard so many people rave about the quality of Gemini. Now we have Gemini 2, and that's gonna be our focus today. And even though this look is gonna be going up, or this video is going up, at the end of the day, you'll still have time to purchase it from Sephora for 20% off if that's something that you're interested in. So let's go ahead and talk about this. I was really happy to see Melt return to its traditional format, our rectangular pans. With or without embossings, I would have been happy. The grungy color story, I was so excited to see and thrilled. It just reminded me of the Melt that I fell in love with, the Melt that made the Rust palette. Rust was the palette that really got me hooked, and I just love that. And I don't know why brands feel like they need to change. Like I saw a brand the other day say, should we change to circle pans? No, do not do it. Do not do it. I saw Menagerie. They changed their Flight Club palette to circle pants, and I didn't buy it because it just didn't look the same. It's just not what I wanted. Anyway, let's get into this baby. It's $58. Hello. What's up? You keep eating, and you're right, but you keep eating is the thing. Why don't you try to use the bathroom? I just feel like if someone tells me that their stomach is hurting and I've comforted them and held them, why do you keep eating? I think he's gonna use the bathroom. Let me know if you need help. Just based on how this video is going, I think I should go ahead and get into the swatches. So first I'm gonna just show y'all both palettes. I know you've seen them. So here is the beautiful Gemini 1. The original one does not have the embossings on it. And here is Gemini 2. I think both of these palettes are very complementary to one another. So I'm gonna get into 3 looks, and what I'm gonna do is do 2 looks with Gemini 2 and then 1 look combining the 2 palettes. First though, I'm gonna get into the swatches. So here are the swatches of the Gemini palette. And what I like about it is there are kind of 2 distinct color stories that can be made. You have your neutrals, and you have the black here, which kind of separates the 2 in a way. And then you have the green. And I really like that. There are a couple of palettes by Melt that are set up this way. Here are the swatches for Gemini 2. You can see that most of the palette has these pink to red type tones. And then we have the 3 grungy green brown shades at the end. And I didn't mention, but both Gemini palettes only have 2 shimmers and the rest are mattes. I do believe that the mattes are Melt's strong suit. So I am happy to see that this palette, you know, has the same format as the first Gemini. With the mattes being Melt's stronger points, I would like to point out that the shimmers that are in both the Gemini and Gemini 2 palette are their best shimmer formula. Melt does have some crumbly shimmers, and sometimes their palettes will have the crumbly shimmers in them as well as the smooth shimmers. And I think the shimmers are what make Melt inconsistent when it comes to their palettes, and I think that's the most frustrating. I do have several Melt palettes where I have replaced the crumbly shimmers because I just know I'm not going to use them and they're not really good. But then within the same palette, there are some really smooth, buttery shimmers, just like the ones in Gemini 2 and the original Gemini, that I really, really love. So it can be kind of frustrating because it's hit or miss, and I do find myself feeling the loyalty to Melt, but when you get the crumbly shimmers, it's just like, Long story short, I'm so glad to see that this palette has the same buttery shimmers as the original Gemini. All right, you guys, so without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the 3 looks, and then I'll be back. I think I'm also gonna pull out a couple other palettes that may have a similar vibe, and I'll wrap it up then. So let's get into the looks. I feel like Melt is back. Oh my goodness, I have not swatched this or anything yet. I have no idea what we're gonna do, but I've got to move because we have a birthday party to go to. And just excuse the noise that you may hear in the background. My basement is getting worked on. So yep, a whole hot water heater later and new valves for the water intake and everything else that was uncovered when this whole issue happened. And now we're putting the drywall up. Well, hilarious. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Going into the shade Gemelas, and for that, I'm gonna use a BK Beauty A503 brush. Just going back and forth and diffusing this out above the crease. Okay, you guys, so here is that transition shade all blended out. This is beautiful, and I'm gonna clean up here on the outer corners at some point. Let's go ahead into Lovesick right here. I'm gonna use a crease brush by MSQ, and let's enjoy this beautiful shade. Oh, this, you know, I'm thankful though. You know why? At least I could get the work done. You know what I mean? That's all I can say. I would have liked to plan to get my basement done and not have the waterproofing issue, but that's just not how life works. So that's okay. All right, this shade, I'm not sure if we can really see Lovesick like that. Not really, right? I'm probably gonna stop with that shade because I am not really seeing it. I am gonna do the same thing on the other eye. It may have been better to use the shade LX Queen, that one, the deeper matte, and that's okay. That's how, you know, we learn. Okay, so I grabbed my Glam Light Icing Primer in the shade Buttercream, and I'm going to do like a half cut crease. I'm concerned because I want to use the green shimmer, but I think it may not really stand out the way I want it to with these deep colors. So using this hopefully will allow that green to pop a little more than if I just put it over top of this burgundy shade. So this isn't going to be anything super innovative or neat because I don't really do like the cut creases like that, but I really want to allow the shimmer to do what it needs to do. Now this is a cut crease brush by Sigma. It's called Cut Crease. Now I'm just gonna kind of tap that with my fingers a bit, and I'm gonna let that dry down just a little. We're gonna go into the lower lash line. And since I have such a deep upper you know, lid look here. I'm gonna go into the shade Ladylike for the lower lash line, which is this one right here. And for this, I'm gonna use a Bristles Beauty EO3 DM brush. I'm just gonna sweep that underneath here. And there you have it. You can hardly see it, but that's kind of what I'm going for. Let's go into the shade Mateo. I'm really just pressing it in to the primer. I'm not really swiping it or anything like that. Now this is a very smooth shimmer, so I'm not worried about fallout, but I just want that pigment to like just really be there. So what I'm gonna do is go back into the crease brush. I'm gonna go into Sweetheart, and I'm gonna kind of put that in the crease. I kind of want to lighten this up a little bit. I don't know if it's going to do that. It kind of is looking to me, and this is not a critique, that these shades are going to possibly blend into one shade. So one of the things that I am gonna practice with is, you know, how to make some different look. Maybe if I started with Bella or Ladylike, you know, we might have seen more of a contrast or gradient type look, but that's not what this is, and I'm totally fine with that. I'm just, you know, making a statement. I'm gonna go into Sweetheart or over here and just kind of soften up just a little bit. I would like to have a shimmery inner corner highlight. So what I'm gonna do is I have Gemini here. Let's just go into Gemini for the inner corner highlight. And for that, I'm gonna use a Rephr 23 pencil brush. And let's just take that shade Gemini. If this is too deep for you, you can always take the shade Bella, which is the lightest shade in the palette, this one here, and just kind of lighten it up. And that's what I'm doing. And I kind of like that a bit better. This right here needs a little bit of blending. So I'm gonna take Bella on this side as well and just lighten up the look at the top. And that's gonna be the first look. All right, so I'm gonna finish this off camera and I'll be back to let you know how I feel about it. All right, you guys, so here is the final look. I just recorded all of this and didn't press record. For liner, I have one by ColourPop and one by Urban Decay. The one on my bottom lids or lashes is this shade here by ColourPop. I don't have the name, it wore off. And then this is the shade Love Drug by Urban Decay. I'm wearing that on the top lashes. And then for mascara, I'm wearing the Melt Super Natural Lash Mascara. For blush today, I'm wearing Pat McGrath Desert Orchid. And then for my lipstick, I have on the Dior Addict Lip Shine in the shade Bandana. It's in my pocket. And that is the shade there. For this initial first impressions look, I think it's cool. It's not my favorite look that I've done, but I will say, I think this is like the melt that we all know and love, the high quality melt, the smooth shimmer melt, just what we all love when we think of Melt Cosmetics. That's what I think about when I think of this look and the colors. I think it was a good move to put some concealer on just so you could see that nice green shimmer there. Otherwise, I think it would have muddied up and I don't know if it would have been appreciated the way that it should. So all in all, I really do like the look. My concern right now, since I have only done one look, is that these red tone shades are all gonna look the same on the eye. And that's kind of like the situation with the Beetlejuice palettes. You know, you kind of have these subtle differences, but when you put them on the eye, they look the same. So the challenge is going to be to create looks that look different. So that's what I'm gonna try to do in this next one. So let's get into another look. So what I wanna do now is do one look on each eye with this palette. I just wanna experiment a little bit more, and then I will do the last look with a combo of both palettes. So hopefully that works for you because we get one more look out of the bunch. For this second look, I'm gonna start with the shade Ladylike, and I'm gonna use the BK Beauty A503 brush. And look how beautifully that blended out. I love it, and I'm actually blending it almost into my blush, which is also a Melt Cosmetics blush. It's a cream blush in the shade Polished. Oh, that looks so good. Next, I'm gonna go into Sweetheart with the same brush, and I'm gonna use that to just deepen up the crease. Ooh, okay, now see, I can see the difference in these two, but I think too much layering might be a bad thing. So I'm gonna just kind of stop here. That looks so good. And I'm gonna go into the shade Schmood, which is the red shimmer. Where is it? Why can't I find it? That's it. Okay, I love this. So we're getting a bit monochromatic here. And I'm gonna finish off the look by using the shade LX Queen, which is this one here. For my under eye, I'm gonna go into the shade Lovesick, which is this one here. Switching brushes, I'm using a Lavish pencil brush. This is what I mean right here. Lovesick, it looks more red in the pan, and I can't tell the difference. Does that make sense? If you can tell the difference, I think you're just good with color. So Lovesick and LX Queen, like, look how different they look in the pan, but on the eye, I'm not seeing the difference. And I think that's what could be, you know, potentially. Okay, give me 5 minutes because I want to make sure your stomach's okay. I've never seen somebody want to eat when they tell me their stomach hurts. Yes. Now, the look, I think, is beautiful. It's just, it only looks like I used maybe 2 shades. Does that make sense? The one thing I'd like to enjoy is an inner corner highlight, and I would prefer a shimmer, but we don't really have that. So I'm gonna take the shade Bella, and I'm using a Refer 23 just to give myself a matte inner corner highlight. It's not that bright, but it's okay. I think it's okay for this purpose. All right, so there's look number 2. I do like it, you know. I am just trying to bring out the versatility in the palette, if that makes sense. So we're gonna go into another look, and we're gonna start with the shade Almond Eyes, which is this grungy green. I'm gonna use a BK Beauty 201 brush. I'm just taking the slightest amount on my brush. These shades are super deep and pigmented. And despite this shade being really deep, I do love how easily you can blend this and diffuse it out. And then I'm gonna go into the shade Boy Mom, which is this one here. And this is like a brown. And for Boy Mom, I'm gonna use this MSQ crease brush. I'm gonna just bring this into the crease. Now with these two, I love how I'm able to see the difference in the 2 shades. Like this one is clearly deepening up the look, which I really like. Now I'm trying to think about when I've ever done an all matte look, but I think we might try that today. I don't think I ever have. That's crazy. All right, what if we took Sweetheart and put that on the lid? Oh my God, this is a first in my eyeshadow history, y'all. Never. All right, now let's try Lovesick again. So here's Lovesick. We're gonna try that on the outer corner. Let's see if we can get that red to really show through. I'm gonna go back into my BK Beauty 502 brush to just blend this out. Let us go into Sweetheart again. Just gonna go ahead and put that on the lower lash line. And taking a little bit of Bella again for the inner corner highlight. All right, you guys, so these are 2 more looks. Let me know your thoughts about these. I'm gonna go ahead and finish the looks off camera, and I'll be right back to let you know what I'm thinking. All right, you guys, I'm back with the finished look. Can y'all tell the difference from right here? Because it's like, I almost can't. So let's zoom in. So the products that I used to finish off this look, I'm gonna be using in the next look as well. So I'm gonna go over them really quick. And to finish off the eyes, I'm wearing the Charlotte Tilbury Mesmerizing Maroon double-ended liner, and I'm using the metallic side, and that's the shade there. And I just have it on my waterline. For mascara, I did a light coat of the Supernatural Lash Mascara by Melt Cosmetics. This is one of the new mascaras I'm trying, and I do like it. For blush, I'm wearing the Melt Cream blush in the shade Polished, and this blush has a little sheen to it that I like, so That's what it looks like. I don't have any highlighter on today. And for lips, another Dior Lip Addict Lip Shine. This is the shade Fauve. Look how beautiful that is. I gotta stop, y'all. We got like one more day in the sale and I need to just stop because I will not buy these ones. I can't get them on sale. Thoughts about this? I am kind of on the fence. Now, I don't dislike it, but I almost can't tell the difference between the two looks. So that's the problem I'm having with this. So let's do one more look and combine Gemini and Gemini 2 and see what we can create. All right, you guys, so I am back. We are going to do a combo look with Gemini and Gemini 2. I'm really excited about this. I'm also excited because I keep forgetting I have all these melt brushes. So we are gonna use these melt brushes for this look. Let's start with the shade Laurely. I'm gonna use a Melt 23 brush. I might be switching from these brushes. Oh my gosh. We'll see how I like these brushes. I can't remember, it's been a minute. And this, again, this is shade Laurely. All right, here's our transition, and you see I switched brushes. The melt brush was a bit dirty, so I had to switch to the Refer 27 brush, but I still want to incorporate these melt brushes in the look. I love that shade. Look, the ease. It's all about ease. Switching to Gemini 2, I'm gonna go into the shade Gemelas, this one here, and I'm gonna use the Melt Cosmetics 808 brush. I'm going to put this in the crease, going in really, really lightly with this. And I think that this shade mixing with the Laurely shade is making this pull brown, which is fine because I do like how that looks together. Now I'm gonna switch back to Gemini and I'm gonna go into the shade Goals, which is our green shimmer. Look at that. Switching back to Gemini 2, I'm gonna go into Schmood. I'm just tapping that here on the outer portion of the lid. I'm just using the same brush to just kind of blend it all together. So this is what we have so far. Let's go into the shade Bonnie. Why not? I'm gonna try to be light with this. I'm using the Refer 27 brush again. I don't want it to be too deep. So I'm just gonna tap it. Okay, we need a lower lash line. We're gonna go into the shade Mochi. I'm gonna use this Melt Cosmetics 627 brush. Taking a little bit of Bonnie and just placing it in the outer portion of the lower lash line just to connect to the top. Taking just a fluffy brush and blending it all together. And I'm gonna go into the shade Gemini for the inner corner highlight. And I'm gonna use a Melt 523 brush. And here is the combo look. All right, you guys, I'm gonna finish this one off and then I'll be back to wrap it up. All right, you guys, I'm back with the final look. And again, everything else that I added to the look is the same from the last one. So, all right, so let me tell you what I'm thinking about this palette. After I did the one look on each eye, I Marco Polo Dr. Ash because I was just like, your looks look so different than mine. Like, I feel like all of my looks look the same. And she was looking at my eyes. She's like, yeah, like they do. But on her eyes, they really didn't. And she was just talking about like undertones and colors that we have in our skin. And like, she's had that experience with palettes. And she was saying that that might be why the looks are showing up on me like that. So let me know if you can relate because I don't know what I can do to make these colors look different on me. If I had to choose between Gemini 2 and Gemini 1, Gemini 1 wins hands down because of the variety. Now, the one thing that I think Gemini 2 is lacking is a light shimmer. I think this could have been a light shimmer, the shade Bella, because there are differences in these two shades, but I think a different texture would have been great because I could put that all over the lid and I think it would pop and stand out a bit more because when I tried to use this, I think I used this as my lid shade you know, when I did the all matte look, it just didn't pop the way I wanted it to. And I think that a peachy shimmer would have been great with either the red vibe or the green vibe. And it could have been a nice inner corner highlight or brow bone highlight as well. I don't dislike this palette, but I think that for me, it may be more of a companion palette unless I'm just going for this particular look, because I feel like I'm only getting one look out of the palette. Whereas Gemini, I just think there's a lot more variety there. So out of all the looks that I created, this one is my favorite one. And I love the shimmers in Gemini more. And again, there's only 2 shimmers, but I think the 2 shimmers that were chosen for Gemini really complement the grunge element of this palette really well and just lighten it up a bit. So that's, I think, the downside to Gemini 2 for me, but I am glad to see Melt come out with this color story, because this is the Melt that I think all of us fell in love with. So I'm not mad at this palette at all. I just want to find the best way to work with it so that I can create that variety. But I think my best bet is going to be to combine these 2 together, or combine this with another palette. As far as the quality of the palette, it is their best quality. And I may have mentioned that already. This is the top-notch Melt formula, just like Gemini is. So I'm glad that they kept that the same. The shimmers are smooth. I think they look nice. The mattes, buttery, blend, like they are great. So I don't have any issues with the quality of the palette. Now, I did bring out the Waiting Room palette I am looking for Recently Deceased, and I can't find it, which is making me a bit concerned. I brought out the Waiting Room palette because this palette kind of has that same issue where you have a lot of burgundy and red shades that look very similar on the eye. I think the difference with the Waiting Room palette is that you have a big contrast on this bottom row. You've got the black, you've got the matte white, and then you have these grays in between, which are also similar, but the gray and the red, I just think provide a better contrast than the shades in Gemini 2. I was asked, how does Gemini 2 compare with She's in Parties? So you can see that She's in Parties is more plum and purple, while the Gemini palette, let's see, has got more peaches, more reds, and then the grungy greens. But even in She's in Parties, you see you've got the lighter element and the deeper element. So you can go light, you can go deep, or you can combine it. So that's what I'm talking about with being able to have a variety in the palette. And I did talk to a couple people that were choosing between Gemini 2 and Patrick Ta. So I don't see any relationship between the two. I mean, if you look at the peaches, yeah, maybe just a little bit, but I don't know, the Patrick Ta palette is completely different, especially when it comes to the shimmers that are in here. I mean, I did 3 looks with this palette and I felt like I was able to make them look different. I was able to do light looks and deep looks, whereas you're gonna do all deep looks with this palette, period. And the last palette that I brought out, I don't think, it might have a couple similar shades. Let's see. This is the Judy palette by Odin's Eye. I know I'm stretching, y'all, but I was just thinking about palettes that may have a similar color story with peaches and reds and then greens. And this one does, it does. But again, you've got a lot more lightness in the Odin's Eye palette. So I basically shared my final thoughts. Great performance. I just think the color story is gonna be something that I'm gonna need to enhance with something else. I'm glad to have it in my Melt collection. And I'm glad to see Melt returning back to their element. They do always keep me on the edge of my seat about what they're gonna release, because I do think that they're a very creative brand. So happy to see them return to the rectangular pans, the grungy color stories, the smooth shimmers, and let's just hope and pray that they stay that way in their future releases. So that's all I have for you today. I hope that this video helped you get some look inspo, or if you were kind of feeling the same way that I was feeling about the performance of the palette and the looks. It's not just you. And if you were trying to make that last minute Sephora order or not, hopefully this video, you know, kind of helped with that. So thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me today. I hope this was therapy for you, because it always is for me. So until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice, stay safe. I will see y'all in the next one. I was about to wave too early. Bye.